Chapter 1. Films and Songs of the People. Bloody Sunday is a film about the brutality of the British government, and their indiscriminate shooting resulted in the deaths of 14 Irish citizens who exclaimed independence. The Last King of Scotland is a movie revealing the suffering of the people of Uganda due to the cruelty of Ugandan dictator Idi Amin. He slaughtered more than 300,000 people and even conveyed to the cannibalism of their bodies. The Act of Killing is a film that exposed the brutal methods of the Indonesian Suharto government, which killed and raped 3 million people through red baiting. The mentioned films are telling their previous cruel state violence and genocides that have been unknown. It is essential that people around the world get to better understand how far we have come in the history of anti-human rights and reflect on their own lives. In 1782, the Marseille militia sang La Marseillaise to expose the French monarchy's corruption when they assaulted the Tuileries Palace. In 1970, Victor Jara advocated freedom with one acoustic guitar when he wrote a revolutionary song criticizing the regime of Chile's military dictator Pinochet. The independent song of Korea, which united its people in a desperate struggle against Japanese imperialism. These protest songs were sung by people who did not yield to the injustice of powerful entities through our unreasonable history. Using these songs, people improved human rights and democracy in each country while facing enormous power. Movies and music, the most familiar pop art charm for people, have been a very effective means of reinforcing the voices of the people and revealing formerly concealed state violence. In addition, the May 18 democratic uprising, music and film played an important role in uniting people's hearts. Chapter 2. Songs of Kangju. Kangju citizens gathered in rage when the new military airborne unit caused sudden violence and murder. Anti-martial law protests started with students, but were embraced by citizens of all ages and genders. Yet the violence of the military became even more brutal as these people assembled, increasing both their fear and death toll. At these times, the citizens encouraged each other's strength by singing together, uniting in a dream of liberation and freedom. National Anthem. Arirang. Our Hope. Passing by fellow soldiers' corpses. Balsam Under the Wool. They also sang several hula songs with modified lyrics. Although the May 18 uprising resulted in civilian deaths, songs that the citizens sang resounded throughout history to remind us of the military's continual brutal violence against its people, even after the uprising. The bereaved families and their surviving citizens of Kangju faced a more miserable reality from all the horrible memories. This is because, even within the same Republic of Korea, they were treated as the Reds by the same citizens. During this incident, their enemies blocked Kangju's communications and borders so that those outside of the city had no idea what was happening. Worse yet, Chun Do-hwan, the main villain of May 18, became president, so for anyone to even bring up the story of May 18 uprising could face death. At this time, people sang once again. Chapter 3. The Unfinished Songs of Kangju.
꽃잎처럼 금남로에 뿌려진 너의 붉은 피 두부처럼 잘리워진 어여쁜 너의 젖가슴 왜 쏘았지 왜 찔렀지 그러길 싫고 어디 갔지 망월동에 무릎 뜯는 수천의 빗발 서려 있네. 5월 그날이 다시 오면 우리 가슴에 붉은 빗소리.
This song, allegedly released between 1982 and 1983, was based on the French tune Who Killed Grandma, using different lyrics to convey vivid feelings of tragedy. Even those who didn't go through the May 18 democratic uprising can empathize with the heartfelt pain and resentment embedded in the song as they listen and will desire to understand what happened. However, the lyrics of this song is unknown. People have searched for the lyricist, but they have yet to find him. There's another song commemorating Kangju in May 1980, which is now a symbol of democracy.
사랑도 명예도 이름도 남김없이 한평생 나가자던 뜨거운 행세 동지는 간대없고 이빨만 나오며 새날이 올 때까지 흔들리지 말라. 세월은 흘러도 상처는 안다. 태연나 소리지는 그날을 항상 가슴아가니
This song was composed for use in Moaning Exorcism, Wedding of Light, which is a part of the spirit wedding of female labor activist Park Ki-sun and activist Yoon Sang-won, who died at the Cheonnam Provincial Hall on the very last day of the uprising. Furthermore, novelist Hwang So-kyung and composer Kim Jong-yeol collaborated to produce March for the Beloved, and 15 artists gathered at Hwang So-kyung's house to record it. To avoid the sound from going out of the house, they blocked the windows with military blankets and recorded the entire song in one day on a simple domestic cassette. To avoid censorship, they distributed the recording through a Christian organization. March for the Beloved was made with difficulties to avoid strict surveillance. People sang this song every time they gathered for democratization, such as the June struggle in 1987, which led to the direct election system of the Republic of Korea, and the candlelight protest in 2017 that impeached the president with the power of the people. The song became a symbol of democracy in Korea. The May 18 democratic uprising was a horror story that could not easily be spoken out even after it ended. Nevertheless, Kangju videos and films based on the May 18 democratic uprising were made to uncover and deliver the truth about the uprising. It had a great impact. Chapter 4: Kangju Video and Films. Kangju Video recorded the Kangju disaster in 1980 by foreign reporters. It is distributed mainly in universities through overseas Koreans. Discovering the truth of Kangju for the first time through the Kangju Video, people were in shock and worked to further publicize the truth of Kangju against surveillance and oppression. Many of them confess that they jumped on the democratic uprising bandwagon solely because of the Kangju Video. After the May 18 democratic uprising, Watching videos or reading handouts, books, and other printings about it became forbidden in the 1980s. Some people took the risk to create films on the topic. The announcement of Mr. Kant is about a missing person in the Kangju Uprising, and the Confessions of May in the Wilderness depicted the May 18 Democratic Uprising and the US military in the eyes of a whistleblower who was a suppression force. At the time, these films were judged not to be screened, so they were banned and confiscated by the Security Command, but resurfaced for the world to see in 2020. In the 1990s, there were films such as Song of Rebirth, which told the story of Pak Kwang-hyun, student president of the Cheonnam National University during the Kangju Uprising and a member of the Wildfire Night School. A Petal was the first film about the May 18 Democratic Uprising to receive good reviews from both critics and the public, also receiving positive reviews at domestic and overseas film festivals. Chapter 5. Commercial films about the May 18 Democratic Uprising. Now, in the 2000s, many people know the tragedy and truth of that day of the May 18 Democratic Uprising, but as time passes after the incident, it is becoming like a myth that exists only in history books for future generations. To combat this trend, popular films of the uprising play a great role promoting remembrance through their publications. 26 years. May 18. A Taxi Driver. These films became popular for people of all ages that attracted universal attention and acclaim through traditional and social media. However, some established generations still regard the May 18 Democratic Uprising as riot, so actors and staff who participated in the films were added to the blacklist and struggled to find future work. This demonstrates that those who deny the uprising still have considerable power. In fact, some far-right forces produced fake news and shared it on social media sites such as YouTube, denigrating the uprising as North Korea's responsibility. As a result, documentary directors with a sense of duty are making more films about the Kangju Uprising to promote the truth. Chapter 6. Current protest songs and movies. Another democratization movement is currently underway in the world. People globally are fighting for democratization and unite in resistance through protest songs, never giving up their resistance. Thailand, Myanmar, Indonesia, Hong Kong, the Middle East, Bangladesh. Many filmmakers risked their own lives to produce these documentaries. Burma Spring 21 revealed the truth of the Myanmar democratization movement, and Revolution of Our Time captured the Hong Kong protests resulting from the introduction of the extradition law from different viewpoints. Through these works, many people experienced these atrocities of violence and oppression together, raising a voice of solidarity to support advocators. There are many dark events in history. By listening to songs filled with pain and resistance, or watching movies of the events, our lives and beliefs will not be the same as before. We will remember and be able to reflect on the past. People sacrificed their very lives to create songs and movies of resistance, and we thank and praise those works. Thanks to them, we can change the future to prevent further state violence and repression.